Thank you very much. I want to call this Parks and Environmental Matters Committee to order on June the 1st at 9:02 a.m. Mrs. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Vaccaro,
Present.
Alderwoman Tyus, Alderman Todd,
Present.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Here.
Alderwoman Peel, Chairwoman Boyd.
Here.
For present, you have quorum.
Okay, I'd like for us to approve the minutes. What were the dates of the last meeting?
I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes of the Wednesday, February the 22nd meeting.
Okay. Can we get a second?
Second.
Okay, could we call the roll?
Alderman Vaccaro,
Aye.
Alderwoman Tyus, Alderman Todd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Peel, Chairwoman Boyd.
Aye.
Four
Thank
ayes.
Thank you. Has our speaker arrived yet? Because I don't see her on here. I don't see the speaker. We had invited Evelyn Rice Peoples to come speak in regards to the RFPs that the Parks and Recreation Department puts out. And I wanted to have discussion with them in regards to the process and the RFPs itself and who's reaching it. So I don't see the speaker.
She's not here yet.
Yeah. Well, while we're waiting a few minutes, did you get them, Sharita?
I'm gonna call her now.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
While we're waiting, since we're coming up on the summer, which is really summer came up on us, we're not waiting on summer. I've been riding the city as a whole and looking at parks and the activities that's starting to go on in the parks and some of the challenges that some of the older people are having within the parks. And so does anybody want to discuss that? I think Christina, you had some issues, didn't you, with your park?
I've had issues since I moved into the neighborhood in 2005 at Booter Park.
Okay.
With respect to people who used to live in the neighborhood coming back to the park for happy hour and drinking, smoking weed, urinating on people's lawns, things like that.
Okay, that sounds kind of familiar. And I want to say Sarah Martin, she was having those issues. I know we as the park committee and the park rangers and the police did work together, and we created a plan to help reduce some of those issues in her park. And I was happy that she came back before she had left and said that it had got resolved. A lot of those issues have gotten resolved. So that just shows me that if we work together in teams instead of in silo, things will get better. So does anybody else? I see Alderman Todd has his hands up.
I guess I have issues in my part. As you know, the board passed a resolution. First of all, saying that those parks should have supplies, equipment, and activities. I have I also have a restroom, and I continue to submit a request that it be done. And according to the commissioners, the bids have been in the process, but I still have not. First of all, there are no activities in the park, and let me make this crystal clear that this makes our community. We have children and adults and then especially younger people from their parents, and some of them are with guardians, grandparents, and other relatives. And But from 6 o'clock sometime, especially since our community, my community is diverse, is poor, from 6 o'clock in the morning to sometimes 6 or 7 o'clock at night, due to the fact that the poor people sometimes have to use public transportation, the kids and other people who don't have jobs are locked in the house all day long. First of all, it's unsafe, it's unhealthy, and we would save money. The city, state, and federal government would save money if those parks had activities, because it would teach better health. It would reduce inappropriate activity, whether those are violence, whether it's drugs, whether it's just sitting up all day long looking at television. And there's a lot of violence on television, and that's where many young people, young and old people, learn all this violence. It's not just nobody's born being violent. Well, what is the point? That should be priority.
Hold on 1 minute, Jesse. Yes, ma'am.
She's jumping on. She said in about 3 or 4 minutes, she'll be jumping on.
Thank you, Sheree.
You're welcome.
And so what I'm hearing from you, Alderman Todd, you saying that we need to have programs in the park to kind of help deter some of these activities.
Not only, yes, you're hearing it very loud and clear. That is and that money has to be shifted from it's a public safety issue.
But Jesse, now you do know Parks and Recs has dollars to have programs in your park.
Well, we want to make them have those. In the past, when I started the Todd plan, they said it wasn't in them. They didn't act on it. I'm not saying, I'm agreeing with you. There's
Right.
money available that could be used more effective and efficient, whether it's in the Parks Department budget or not. Instead, it show that. But politically,
So today, what I'm asking you is when Evelyn Rice Peoples gets on, that should be the request that you give to her again.
and I'm also making the request to all the people that we step up to the plate and make that a political issue and educate the people about the fact that this is the best way to solve our problems in our
Okay,
community. That's
okay,
I'm doing both. I'm using
okay,
to educate and to get political support. So I don't want to be misunderstood, because this is a political decision when we
right,
waste taxpayers' money on ineffective things and then don't fund effective best practices. So that's a political decision.
right,
So
okay,
every way we spend this money is a political decision, whether it's effective or not. So I'm political, this is political, and this is taxpayers' money. So yes, the answer is, I want, and as a steward of taxpayers' money, I want every penny to be spent in the most efficient and effective way.
okay. Thank you, sir.
And thank you so much, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Alderman Vaccaro, did you have anything?
No, I mean, I had to get upset during Ways and Means because for 3 months, when you talk about bathrooms, there was no water for at least 2 months in my parks in Tillis Park. And I had to throw a fit. I had to call the mayor's office. I had to jump up and down. And it only took a day to fix the problem. And it shouldn't have to go to those extremes. And all I got was, well, they tear the bathrooms out of other parks. I don't know if that's anybody else's. I'm not having that. We had a water main break. And when it came down to it, it was a 1-day fix, and I shouldn't have had to stop my feet and jump up and down and, but I didn't care. But I agree that, the parks going into summer, that all the bathrooms should be working, the splash pads should be working. We had 1,000 people at Lindenwood Park, 800 to 1,000 people for the concert for non-working bathrooms. And, 2 porta potties that the neighborhood organization brought in. It's pretty sad. Yeah, and then I got over $600,000 the last 3 years with promises about the work that's supposed to be done. And it's not done. And every year they say, well, we just keep adding to it. You know, so I should remind everybody too, if you haven't done it, you know, you need to start looking at, you know, the parks funds that have become available, and whether you're gonna do matching funds, or, you know, whether you're gonna do city parks. You know, I don't have the large parks, but, you know, that money, we need to start working on that too pretty sharply,
Right.
you know? Um,
So what I'm hearing as the Parks Committee, we need to have ordinance or resolutions to enforce what we're talking about. And so that's the programming and and that's the environmental piece, because you have people urinating in people's yards. And so we need to have something that we put together to address this and give them a time frame. Because I just have a problem when you just give people a blanket statement, and so they don't feel that they're held accountable for a time frame. Like with Christina, and she's talking about her park. Well, that's something that we have worked on, like I said, with Sarah, and we brought the police in, the park rangers, and Greg Hayes, and said, okay, you need to have a plan to address this park. So that's something we need to be doing as a committee, that I think, and if I'm off, Joe is the senior audit person, he could tell me. But I think we need, and I'm a person of action. I don't like talking about it. I want to make it happen. The bathrooms have been an ongoing issue, and it shouldn't be ongoing. And what I told Greg and Kim, I said, when we were down with COVID, for 2 years, you all had time to address each bathroom, to get those bathrooms ready. So when COVID was released and we were back to letting people come out, those bathrooms would have been working. I don't want to hear you didn't have the staff. And like an old boss used to tell me, all excuses are good. I'm not accepting any of them, because it's always a way to solve the problems without Joe screaming and hollering, without Christina keep coming back saying, look, it haven't changed, without Alderman Bosley saying, this is a mess, I can't get past this. When Alderman Muhammad was there, he talked about O'Fallon Park, Alderman Todd is talking about it. So we need to make it where it's some meat to this to hold them accountable. That's my opinion.
Well, it's a giant pass the buck, because parks will tell you it's BPS. BPS will tell you it's parks. Everybody will tell you it's somebody else. Oh, it's a design group, or we don't have people. You know, I got on Rich Bradley about this in yesterday's meeting. You know, what I get is, well, I'll send you a list of what's supposed to be getting done in your park. I said, I want a timeline. I need a list.
Right.
You know, 3 years. 3 years. You know, what's funny is that like Tillis Park, I'm still fighting to get stuff done. And, you know, next year, that won't even be in my ward anymore.
Right.
You
That's
know,
what
so
I said.
I'm trying to make sure this stuff gets done while I can still make sure it gets done.
Right. So do you agree? Do you all agree we need to put something together to kind of have timelines?
Yes,
Even if it's to the point of them contracting out plumbers to get stuff done, because I'm tired of talking about it. That's not making sense to me. And I told a couple of them, I said, I feel as elected official, I have no kind of authority, because I'm constantly telling you all what the issues and there's no results. So people looking at me like, well, you're the older person, you can't even get it done. And so that's a slap in our face as elected official. So I figured if this is gonna be my last year as an older person, I'm going out with a bang. I'm not gonna go out not knowing what happened. I'm gonna go, they gonna say, oh, she made a mark. They knew she was there, because I'm telling you, I'm going out with a bang. And if it means fighting for Buddha Park, Joe's Park, Jesse's Park, that's what I'm gonna do. And they gonna remember me. If I don't get elected, they'll say, but I remember that lady because she was raised an HE double hockey stick. So I'm just letting people know I'm not going to put my tail between my legs and run. I'm not doing that. So Shameen, did you have anything?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Okay. And so Dwayne, did you have anything? We can't hear you, Dwayne.
Thank you. No, I'm just listening to the conversations of what's going on. So
Okay, all right.
I'm for what the committee is for.
So what parts are in your ward, Dwayne?
I was just looking that up. I have 2 parts, 2
Okay,
little bitty parts. And I was looking that up when you, let me tell you in a minute. Go on with someone else and then come back to me.
Madam Chair, who's
Please.
Janice?
that's a secretary. That's not,
Okay.
that's not
I saw that.
Evelyn Rice Peoples. I don't know where Evelyn Rice Peoples is.
Okay, I just saw that come on. I didn't know if that was maybe her.
Yeah, Sharita, we have Janice on, but we don't have Evelyn Rice Peoples on.
Yeah, when I spoke to her, I asked her, did she have the link? And she said she did,
Okay,
and she was jumping on, so.
okay,
I thought maybe she came on with Janice or, well, you know,
right.
sometimes they don't come on in their own name. Jesse's got.
Give her a call back, I will, Chairwoman, just let me know.
Yeah, call her back. 'cause
Okay.
That's kind of crazy. Okay.
Madam Chair,
Uh-huh.
I'm agreeing with you as I tell everybody, I don't know if I'm running or not. I don't know if I run, whether I'm gonna win. But until the last day, April the 4th, I'm gonna be fighting. My priority is to fight to make sure while I'm alderman of the 18th ward, that the residents get everything and I'm gonna do everything within the law that it takes, and I'm within the law. So I don't care what people think, because it's ridiculous that we had to sit up here, and since I've been on this board, I've been begging I heard the senior alderman here, Alderman Vaccaro, and it's not a black-white issue. They're not done any of us right. We often talk about north side, south side. Well, nobody, they've not done it. From what I hear from the south side people, they're not getting things done that they asked for. You hear from the north side people, we're not getting anything. So they play us off against each other a lot of time. But the bottom line is, as you said, Madam Chairwoman, is that people gonna have to be held accountable. If they can't do the job, they should contract it out. They've had plenty of time to do the job. There's no reason and that they cannot get this done. And as you said, we're the older people. We need to use our power that we have, and we do have power.
You know what?
And we need to use our power. And our power is that we can report that we can tell the mayor what the problem is, and she's their supervisor, and she has the power to hire and fire. If she doesn't, it's up to her. With the choice is, if they don't do it, since they're under her supervision on a daily basis, the choice is for her to do it, for us to go to the residents and let them know that whoever has the power to hire and fire these people are not doing it. And then if her subordinates don't do it, she should fire them. That's the bottom line. I'm saying, no, I'm not sugarcoating anything, and I'm not gonna cover for anybody, because I don't have but one interest. That's the interest of the citizens that I represent, and it only for one term. Because if I don't win, if I do win, if I don't run or do run, I only run for one term, and this has not been working. And so when you find something that isn't working, you got to change it. And so we do have the power, because we have all kinds of power. We even have the power to, I'm just using the mayor to recall the mayor, because you can get petitions and do that. But so you have power, you have resources. We do have the bullet pulpit of educating our residents about what we've done, and we do have the power of peacefully protesting, sitting in and shutting the city down. Not where we get locked up, but we had a power.
Hold on, Jesse. You know how to resend the link, Joe?
No, but the Sharita should be able to, or the host, Tony, STL host, can you go ahead and send a link to her, please?
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's for STLTV.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's for STLTV. She's having a problem finding the link, so I'm on the phone with her now.
Right, and then, okay, so you're on the phone with her? And then, what I was gonna ask, but I'll wait until you come back. What needs to happen is, and I'll wait for the chairwoman to come back. What we need is a list from the Parks Department of all the dollars that are sitting out there with promises of work that's supposed to be done, paid for in different parks. You might be amazed. I'm gonna bet there's several $1 million. Jesse, how much do you have in your parks?
Since I've been Alderman Vaccaro, every year I've been, I don't have the exact figure in front of me, so I don't want, but I've been, haven't got the work, but I've put it in the budget. So,
Right.
Okay, so I don't have, but that's a good thing, Alderman Vaccaro. Every year I've said, do this work. Here's the money. No work. I go by the point, where's the work now? So the answer is, I got a lot of money.
I bet we all do.
I got a lot, I have some money where I've allocated it, but I need to, but I have, when I go around, I don't see the work that I paid for. So the point is, thank you, that's a good question. I will find out, and I think we all need to find out where is that money?
Mrs. Peoples is here now. But I think when the chairwoman comes back, and Sharita comes back, I'm gonna officially ask. And
Right.
Evelyn, how you doing?
And if we pay enough money, we can get plumbers. If we pay enough money, we can get contractors.
Wait a minute, Jesse, hold on. Joe, would you take over for me, please?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Alderman Vaccaro, I believe with all that money we got, if we pay top dollar, we can bid that money, we can bid it out and get 3 bids or whatever they want to do. And we can have it work done right away. Cause we do, I know that there's a lot from the 18th ward, and if there's a lot from the 18th ward, it's a lot from everybody else.
Right.
If we use that money up for the top dollar, we can get the top contractors. And we can get this done. So I agree with you, Alderman.
Let's do this. Sharita, can you send a thing to Greg Hayes and Kim Hegley? Want to know dollar for dollar how much is already in the parks, in each park. Like I know in Lindenwood, I'm over $600,000 waiting for work. So the stuff that's already been paid for by the aldermen, the money's been put there, but the work is still outgoing. If that makes sense, if we can get that. Mrs. Peebles, how you doing? Can you turn your sound on for me?
I'm sorry, Vice Chair Vaccaro, you wanted to know how much was allocated for each park per
How much is sitting in each park waiting to be spent? Like I know I have a lot of money in Lindenwood Park with nothing but excuses, and Jesse has a lot of money in his parks that he's put in that, he's waiting for work to get done, and they have a lot. What'd be interesting is across the city, how much money is sitting in all the different parks that the older people have put in for work that has not been done.
Got it. I sure
I
will.
think it's going to be a big number. Mrs. Peebles, how
Yes,
you doing
good
this morning?
I'm well, thank you.
Sorry about all the trouble getting you here with the thing. I think what we're going to do is let us know what's going on in the parks as far as recreation, what's going on. How do we get that in our parks? How do we get, what's coming to which park, and how do we get some of the things to show up? So I'm going to let you go ahead and do a presentation for us, please.
Okay, right now we're getting ready to start summer day camp first week of June, next week. And as far as what's going on in the parks, Primarily, we do most of our programming for indoor recreation centers, but we also do a lot of programming outside. For example, we have a request for proposals on the floor right now, out in the public. It's due back this coming Friday, and it's asking for people who can teach our youth things like soccer, lacrosse, baseball, softball, track and field, swimming. So we're looking for people who can teach the various physical sports that young people enjoy, as well as we do arts and crafts. We're asking for people who, and we contract with people who want to do storytelling, jewelry making, t-shirt painting, photography, and the like. If there's a specific activity that you would want to see in a particular park, we need people to tell us what that is, what they'd like to see in the park. And then among the vendors that we already have, we can ask them if they would go to those particular parks and do that particular thing. Like it could be, we had one group near Tandy Recreation Center that wanted to do a neighborhood empowerment project, and they ended up painting all the trash cans with positive messages. An artist group helped come and design the trash. Yeah, I mean, it's a regular trash can, but artists sort of drew an outline and they let the kids fill it in. And they put those trash cans in the neighborhood and in the neighborhood park, which is the Tandy Park, as a message that this should be a safe zone, that children live here, and that we should be thoughtful about that. So we do have some ability to do some programs. If a particular park wants a particular activity, and we have people who can do it. Right now, we're in like the third set of requests for proposals. We did one for football, someone to be a governing agency so that our kids could play in a league. We did another one for things like tennis, golf. I think I mentioned photography, acting, singing and dancing with Coca. We have those out there now. And then this coming Friday, we're getting another group in. The reason is that we don't just want to work with people we're used to working with, but that anybody who wants to apply for these federal funds can do so. And if they can show us that they can do the work, then we're open to that. I think that's pretty much all I have. I don't know.
That's okay. Let me do this. So so these sounds like activities you're going to have that will be outdoors. And how does an alderman go about saying, gee, I want this activity in my park? I know in the past they're only scheduled for a week or whatever.
That's correct.
And how do we get that schedule for, there's going to be all the people that are not familiar. How do we get the schedule, or can you send the schedule of the open weeks to the aldermen so that, so that they can say, gee, I would like this in Tandy Park, or in my case, I'd like this in Lindenwood or Tilly's, or,
Okay.
So how do we figure where those open weeks are? I mean, in Titlis Park, we have, in fact, I keep saying I'd love to see a basketball league in the city, but we have a nice basketball court. We have new soccer fields. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go down the list and kind of just so let everybody know why I said that.
Okay.
The activities will go on from June till when? When's the ending day of all this?
We go for about 8 weeks. So we go from June 8th till just about August 8th. We do 10 weeks. We do 2 5-week sessions. And what we could do, I'm just trying to think about this. This is a new problem for me. Because we've really been more involved with activities in the rec centers. But I mean, to do, say, a basketball camp or a soccer camp in a park is something that we could do. We do it in Sherman Park. We do it in, we're doing a little bit in Norman Say Park. So it would be a matter of having the interest to go there and kind of coordinate. It takes a little bit of coordination. For example, if we wanted to do a soccer camp at Tillis Park, we would need to coordinate with you, to coordinate with whatever neighborhood group. We would need you, if possible, to make sure flyers get out to the neighborhood so that the week that we're going to be there, we have young people and maybe older who have come and want to participate.
I appreciate that. And I wasn't necessarily, I was just using my parks just
Okay.
familiar. So just so everybody understands, so if you have an activity that you think should be promoted in your park, this would be a good time. And then Mrs. Peebles can let us know what week is available to do that in your park, and it would be up to the alderperson to promote it. So if all that makes sense, Alderman Todd, as I go down the list, because I don't see Alderwoman Tyus, so Alderman Todd, you're first on. You're first up. So we're talking about activities that you would like to see in your park and maybe a time frame, or maybe a couple parks.
Okay, let me quickly, and I won't take but a second to give my background and why I'm saying what I'm going to say. Why I will be saying what I was what was called a youth specialist in the Human Development Corporation and the anti-poverty program. So I had programs running thousands of kids in the 18th ward before I became an alderman. That's what I did. Now, my question is, and we had supervisors in those programs, full-time summer supervisors running the program with supplies, equipment, and everything they needed. That's where I got the idea from, because I've been part of it and I've done this before. What the point I'm asking Ms. Peoples is, what I'm telling you, for example, can I get full-time supervisors from 6 o'clock in the morning till the sun go down at night? 2 working for 8 hours and another 2 coming in 8 hours. Then they will get supplies, equipment, and they'll be professional people. That's what I want. I want to see people who are hired to do this work and come in, and then I can come up with the idea, and then we can plan on what is to be done.
Well, I don't think that that's what this does. What this does is it'll offer a program, whether it's soccer or whatever you feel would work. It's really only a 1-week camp. And I would think they would supply everything they need for that camp. But whether it's a softball camp or a basketball or baseball or whatever that particular camp might be, whatever you feel would kind of work good in one of your parks. But it would be a 1-week thing, and you think about it, it's only 10 weeks long. So only 10, they couldn't do it all in just one park.
Well, last thing.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I just was explaining.
Last thing, Mr. Chairman, quickly, and I'll be very quick. That's why we got the problem we got now with crime, gun violence, and drugs, because the federal government took those programs and allowed crack to come into North St. Louis. And so that's why we got the problem now, because I actually went to jail and demonstrated for more than 2 years to try to stop it. So I have experience, I know what happened. So I'm asking that these programs be reestablished so that we can start dealing with the root cause, which is poverty. And we had young people hired and being paid who was called junior leaders under the supervisors program. And then I was the head of the whole thing. being paid, and they were out of trouble in activities. And we need this done on a very professional mass scale and not a hit and miss approach under the supervision of the Parks Department. It should be under the supervision of the community. Okay.
Okay, no, and I agree. We used to have full-time parkies in the park when I was growing up. But that's not what this is about. The only offer here is it's a 10 weeks, you know, to pick a program. And it would be just for a short period of time in your park, which the older person would have to promote it. And it's short, but you know, it might be kind of a nice, you know, summer activity. You know, maybe if you have a swimming pool in your park that's actually open, maybe you could suggest they bring in a swimming instructor. I mean, this is the time to think about what would be good for your park. I know they said that she said she's already put out RFPs for a bunch of different things. But this gets them in your park. Otherwise, if you don't have a rec center, most of the activities are going to go on in the rec centers, and you won't see anything in your park. So that's what that's about. I'm going to move on because the chairwoman's back. Madam Chair, the next one would be Alderwoman Shameen Clark Hubbard. And what we're discussing, I know you'd step away, what we're discussing is from June the 8th to August the 8th, the activities roughly for a week or 3 days, just depends, could go on in your park. You need to request, you know, what you're looking for. And Mrs. Peebles will send us a list of the open dates so that we're not all picking June the 8th. So if the week you want is picked, you have to pick a different week. But and the older person would have to be the one promoting it, whether it's soccer in the park or basketball, maybe you're having a basketball. And what would be kind of cool is if you're doing baseball, if we reach out to the Cardinals and see if, you know, they have people that, you know, players that do go out and do activities. I know we had Andy Bennis come to our school, you know, so I mean, you know, we need to think about if we're doing something, you know, maybe we can get, you know, like if it's soccer, for instance, with this new soccer league, maybe we could reach out to them. I guarantee you, if you have a soccer camp in your park and one of the new players come, you know, from this new league that's coming up, you probably get a crowd that the park won't even be able to handle. But just trying to think outside the box. I wanted to bring you up to speed on what we're thinking. So Alderwoman Clark Hubbard's actually next up.
Okay, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
No questions, but thank you.
Oh, I thought she had a question, a comment.
She was next on the list.
Okay,
After her, it's you and me. And I did my thing.
so Alderwoman Evans, she already asked questions?
No, no, that was on the committee. Now
Committee.
we go off the committee. We have Alderwoman Evans, Alderwoman Christina Gracia. And I think that's all we have off the committee.
Okay. And so the only thing that I wanted to say, we all do know that programs are needed desperately. And so I think what kind of rubbed me wrong, it was an older person that made the comment, they have all these activities in the park. And I said, I don't have activities in my park. And she was like, no, all the parks have it. And I was like, no, ma'am, I don't have activities in my park. And the only way we had activities in the White Davis Greg Carter Park was it was organizations that would come in and do activities. It wasn't parks doing activities in our park. And so I kind of left it alone because I felt like other organizations were trying to bring things in. But I just looked at where this older person had made this blanket statement that programs were in all the parks. And I was like, no, they're not in all the parks. And I agree that the programs that they're having are short term. And so right now, the way the climate is in the city, short term is not going to make it. It's not going to make it for our city. We need something ongoing. I did have a conversation with Ms. Peoples and staff before I even got on this committee and said that, you know, we wanted to utilize Northwest High School as a community center because the building is too large to have it sit in the middle of a city park and nothing is there. I don't want another Walnut Park school. So they were kind of excited. The roadblock we're running into is Dr. Adams. He is the struggle that we're trying to push him along to make this happen. But in Greg Carter Park, it's nothing going on there. And so if they have something, like I said, it's from other organizations. Alderwoman Hubbard has Tandy. And so, I mean, she has Woes, and then Alderwoman Evans has Tandy. So they have community centers in their park and in their areas. And so they can endorse those areas for where people can go. But I think people need to understand in St. Louis City, young and old, is territorial. So even old people won't go to certain parts of the city, just like young people don't. It's a safety issue for all of these people. Everybody feels the safety. I can't go across Kings Highway. I can't go across West Florissant. We can't go across the bridge downtown. We can't go across Jefferson because it's territory issues. And so I keep hearing, we need staff, we need staff. So I'm looking at, we need to really promote youth, the programs, and people need to understand, you don't have to recreate anything. Use the projects or programs you had prior to all of this. You know, and people tell me, quit saying that. But when it was Caring Communities in Walbridge, the crime blasted down to zero, because they were interacting with the community. As Alderman Todd said, the community has to buy into what's coming into their neighborhoods. And so if we're talking about a community center in Northwest, we need to promote it to hire people in that community, because that's what Walbridge did. They hired within their community. And that's how the crime went down, because the people that lived there invested in those programs and they saw the help that was there for them. And so I'm the person, I just say, we don't have to create no new ideas. The Evelyn Rice people has the programs there, but we just need to have them incorporated into our communities. And if it's 10 weeks, then we need to look at a way. And I remember when we worked programs out of Northwest, and Evelyn Rice Peoples was with us with that, when we had the 5-on-5 program, basketball program.
Yeah.
We had Urban League working with us. We had Fathers Support Center. So we had to partner with people. And so that's what's going to help. With Christina Grassi and her problem in her park, her problem is no different than in the Black parks. You have a group of people that want to huddle together, and they want to, either they don't have anything to do, or they think what they're doing is okay, and they're not from that community. So we have to figure out a way as the Parks Committee, how, just like with Sarah, and I keep referring to her because I was so proud of that community, because the businesses, the residents, they all came together with the police and the park rangers, and we all came together and said, what can we do to stop this, what's going on in her park? She had the prostitution, she had the drug activity, the homelessness, and we addressed it, and we decreased it. And that's because it was neighborhood buy-in. So even with Woes, it's neighborhood buy-in into that to a community center. And with Tandy, it's neighborhood buy-in. And so that's all I'm saying. You know, I still feel strongly we need to have something in writing to say we are, as the Board of Aldermen or the Parks Committee, we're asking for recreation to commit to these many jobs. And then it comes back on us and our community people to start pushing it, to say, we got 10 job openings in this area. Jesse got 10 job openings for his park. And so if people don't apply, Jesse, you can't get mad at parks. You got to get mad at that community because they're not buying into it.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying I'm right, but that's how I look at it. I tell my community, you can't keep waiting on me to fix it. You have to play a part in fixing this because it's not just a me issue. It's a community issue. And so that's just where I'm at, you know. So I don't know if anybody had anything else, Evelyn. The only thing with the OFPs, what I was saying, I didn't see numbers. That's what kind of confused me, even with the summer programs. And
Okay.
maybe I missed something. I didn't see numbers. If I'm applying for this RFP, how much is the grant for? And so I saw the work, what you were looking for me done, but I didn't see numbers to tell me we're willing to pay you $10,000 to run this program. And so if people apply for it, and so you say, well, you don't qualify. Well, how could I qualify if I don't even know what the dollar amount is, what you looking for me to do? Or you say, well, this is too much and you can't do this. So that's my thing. It just wasn't clear to that point for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can get better information. Pretty much, no grant is too large or too small. If somebody comes in, and this has happened in the past, the only way for the most part someone does not get funded is if their package is incomplete, if they don't fill out all the information, if they don't answer all the questions. But we've never said, I don't think, you're asking for too little money or you're asking for too much. What we do, once we get the proposals in, for example, we had one group that said they wanted to do something in 3 rec centers for right around $5,000. And we talked to them, we said, how you gonna do that? Now, how many people? Okay, you said you got 3 people. And as we walked through it, we said, that's way more than 5,000. Do you wanna look at that again? And we let her come back and be more realistic. At the same time, if we get something where somebody wants $200,000 to do a tennis program, if it looks like they know what they're doing, we're gonna say, it looks like you know what you're doing. We'd like to work with you, but there's no way we pay this much for 2 tennis instructors, 3 afternoons a week. So I'm saying that to say, we don't sit judge and jury hard line. It's gotta be perfect. Once a person puts in for a request for proposal, the first thing the committee does is say, do you think they can do this? Yeah. And then if we say, this is a lot of money, let's see, because we're looking at doing 3 years this time, a 3-year grant. Why don't you try it the first year and the second year come back and see how that works? So in other words, when we meet with the vendors, what we say and what I say to people is, I'm not trying to figure out how to keep the money. I'm trying to figure out how to spend it with mostly small businesses, new businesses, people from St. Louis who want to come into these rec centers and do things we've not had before, and also do more things outside in the parks. So if you know somebody who wants to put in, I know there was a group in your area, this RFP isn't due back till Friday. They should get us something because it would make sense for them to say, and I don't know the state of Northwest right now, but it would make sense for them to say, this is the neighborhood we're in. This is where we want to do something. And in the warm months, we could be outside doing X, Y, and Z. But during the winter months, we'd like to be inside in whatever building is available, including possibly Northwest. So this isn't, because this is a new process for us and for most vendors. It's not like a contract hearing where we're saying, oh, you missed line 23A. It's not that way at all. We work with people, we let them make corrections. We ask people to, and once we get the groups that we think can do it, we ask them to walk through, how would you actually do this? What would you do your first day, your first hour, the next day? Because a lot of people have never done this, but they have good ideas, they have resources. And I think Alderman Boyd hit it on the head. They want to do something in their community. We don't do well when we take people from one community and sit them in the middle of a different one where they don't know anybody,
Right,
especially young people.
right,
That's scary almost.
right.
So we're open to suggestions. We're open to doing new things. Alderman Todd, no, we worked hard to get in McMillan Place. And the housing authority was very difficult for us. We probably met 7 months on that and couldn't get it off the ground.
You know,
Okay.
Lee, I have to go to another meeting in 5 minutes, so do you need me? Can I switch over, please, in 5 minutes?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, then, thank you. I have traffic and at a streets.
so Madam Chair, yeah, a lot of us, I have streets too, but you know what I'm thinking, you know, as I'm sitting here listening, one of the things we have not reached out to for in the parks, we give away that, we give away, whatever. People apply for that $1 million that we do through public safety, like story stitchers and all those different groups. We should reach out to them too and say, look, you know, you're doing this activity. We'd like you to come into our park and maybe do it in our park. We're already giving them, you know, $50,000, $75,000 already. I'm trying to remember, I think was the Boys Club on the, you know, I'm trying to put in my head who we gave money to, but maybe we should reach out to them, you know, especially if it's groups that, you know, can do something in the park that, you know, I mean, ask them to come to a park. It's just a thought. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sitting there listening. I thought maybe that might not be a bad idea.
Right. And so that's how we could bring partners in, because it's not going to happen solo. It has to be partnerships. So right now what I'm getting is we know that we want programs in our parks. And Evelyn Rice Peoples feel we need to connect with her to say that we want these programs and be willing to work with her in regards to that. And then community centers, if we want to have community centers or one spot that we were looking to have, we're going to talk to those non-for-profits in our areas to work with them with parks to help them to get those dollars. So does anybody have anything else? And I'm sorry, we got a streets committee meeting in 2 minutes. So
Okay, we still have 2 people off the committee that may want to say something.
yeah, so I know Christina, she said good conversation. Dwayne, did you have anything you wanted to say?
No, other than I had someone call me and approach me about trying to present programs in the city. But I know she was asking an astronomical price, and it may not have been an astronomical price. But the thing of it is, I believe she said that someone just said, well, they did not accept her application or whatever. They just turned it down.
Was that Velma Bailey?
Yes.
So the challenge with Velma Bailey, I think her first, and if I'm wrong, Evelyn Rice, people can tell me, I think her first thing was to go into Beaumont. And so Evelyn doesn't have control to get, first she has to get permission to be able to utilize that building. And then I think she came back, because I just got something from her, and she said the 2nd and 3rd, but it will be at Fairgrounds Park. And so I didn't know if she reached out to Parks and Rec to say, you know, I want to come in Fairgrounds Park, and maybe they need to reach out and tell her, apply by Friday to see what we could do with your program.
And
So,
we are already doing quite a lot for Velma Bailey,
okay,
quite a lot. I mean,
okay,
and I'm speaking on Kim Hagley's behalf, which I can't really do very well, but you know, they put the benches up there so that her children could have somewhere to sit. They went back and put holes in so she could do umbrellas. They put a pod in the park, a permanent pod, so that she can store her things and not have to go back and forth every day. She wanted something done different for the hooks to hang the children's backpacks. Parks did that. So we continue to do everything we can to be responsive. I don't know, and again, you're right on the money. I don't have any control over a public school building, but if people get access to a building, and Beaumont's a big one, a huge building to do programs out of, but we can be helpful in terms of some staffing if we can get the staff, but we're much more successful within our own rec centers. But all of us, I was just in a meeting with Velma a couple weeks ago. I give her supplies and different things. I don't know anything she's asking that we're saying no to, but I don't have all Kim Hagley's information either.
May I ask a question?
uh-huh.
Is she being paid or compensated for the work that she does, or is she doing all of this volunteer volunteer work?
My understanding is that it's volunteer.
Okay, so is there, I guess you could say, a position where she could be paid for doing what she's doing? Because I think that's one of her concerns.
Well,
You know,
she
how
should-
does
she
she
should apply.
access?
She should apply. She should apply for a position. Right now, the city is hiring in almost all positions. She could apply for a position. Now, the hard part about applying is that you have to follow the rules like every other city employee. You don't get to be autonomous, in charge, and do what you want to do and accept the city salary. You know, you
Okay.
got to follow rules, but within that, I mean, if Velma were to apply and were able and was hired, the goal would be for her to do in the community what she's doing now. And no one would try to make that difficult. But sometimes when people have been autonomous, it's difficult for them to sort of become a civil service employee. And we have a lot of part-time positions open that can be attractive for people who maybe have a pension or another source of income. Then they can work part-time. If you work part-time, you can kind of set your own hours. That would be something that I'm open to looking at.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, well, thank you, Evelyn, for fighting to get on, because I know it was kind of cumbersome.
Yes, it was.
And I'll follow up with you. I'll talk to that not-for-profit to see about them turning something by Friday to you.
Okay.
And then that could kind of help you on that end. And if anybody else wants to say any last minute things. Okay,
I just
Thank
want
you.
to say Sharita is wonderful.
she
done
is.
it with me. She got me on here.
Yeah, she is super. She's super lady.
Yeah.
And
she
so
is.
that whole staff is fantastic. We'll be lost without them, trust me.
Okay. Okay.
So thank you all very much. I'm gonna close our meeting and I'll see you all next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.